Hello and welcome to NOV Live. I'm Michael Gaines and glad you are joining us today as we dive into another conversation on technology and its impact in the world of oil and gas, energy, and other spaces in our world. So thank you for joining us. And we are going to have a great conversation today as we talk about automation and really looking at the life cycle and how that impacts overall operations in the oil and gas space. So definitely looking forward to that conversation. Before we get to our guests today, we are going to go ahead and bring in Shelby Dumaine to talk about how you can be a part of our conversation and how you can also give us thoughts, feedback, and comments on future topics that we can cover. So, hey, Shelby, good to see you. I know it's been a week since we were here last.
Hey, Michael, it's good to see you as well. I know I missed the show. I love doing this every week. So I'm glad to be back. I'm glad we're back here doing it every Wednesday at 11 here out for folks watching and tuning in. So there are a couple different ways that you can get in contact with the show or get your questions answered. And the easiest way is simply by commenting in the comment section. So we, throughout the show, I'm in the comments live. I'm reading everybody's messages, seeing everybody's questions. And then at the end of the show, when we do the Q&A portion, that comment section is where I pull those questions from. So if you have a question about today's topic or about, for any of our guests, go ahead and comment that below at any point, and we're going to get to as many as we can before we run out of time here on the show today. And then afterwards, if you'd like to get a hold of us, there are also a few different ways you can do that as well. So the first is you can actually email us. You can shoot us a line via email at socialmedia@nov.com. I love that way. I love seeing messages from our audience. And then the other way, and Michael knows this, I say it, I think every show, but it bears repeating. My favorite way for you to get in contact with us is via our comment line. So you can call us. I like this option. You can stay anonymous, or you can let us know your name and maybe even where you work, and we can shout you out on a future episode. But I love hearing the voice of everybody watching and hearing their questions and comments. And so that phone number is on the screen now. It is country code +1 346 223 4799. So I'd love to hear from you, whether it's in the comment section today, if it's via email or via phone. And so now that we've talked kind of about how you can ask us your questions, it's time I'd like to ask you a question, all of our Rig Geeks in the comments. So it's time for Rig Geek Post of the Week.
Rig Geeks Post of the Week.
All right. And as a reminder for our viewers, this is the time where I ask you a question. Typically, it's related to the topic or maybe just about a fun Rig Geek fact that we have for you. And then at the end of the show, you can type in your comments throughout. And then at the end of the show, we're going to reveal the answer. So definitely stick around to hear if you get the answer right. Or if you think you know it, go ahead and comment and let us know in the comment section. Today's question. So we have our guest today is Katie Saski, or one of our guests today is Katie Saski. And she's actually been on the show before. And so this is a question for any of our Rig Geek viewers out there who tune into the show regularly. I want to know, can you name what episode Katie Saski has appeared on NOV Live in the past? Can you name, it can be the number of the episode or if you remember the title or topic. So comment down below and let me know if you can remember which episode Katie Saski first appeared on.
That's a good one. So we're appealing to folks that maybe like name trivia or face trivia or both. So that's a good one. Yeah, I look forward to hearing the answer on that one. That's really good. Well, good.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Shelby. And so yeah, we're gonna dive in. I see a lot of folks jumping in the comments. Good to see you. Really would love to know where you're watching from. I see it looks like we've got some viewers in Canada. I think I saw Cameroon. Let's see. I'm scrolling through here. I think we may have even had Scotland and Ireland in the comments. So let us know where you're watching from, because it's always really, really great to know where you're joining us from, as we always want to continue to make this a program that's definitely beneficial for you. So as we jump into our conversation today, as Shelby alluded to, and as we talked at the top of the program, we're talking about the automation lifecycle. And so our guests are Katie Saski and Nate Myers, and they're going to be talking about the continued evolution of automation and really what that partnership looks like between our teams here at NOV and your teams. So I want to go ahead and bring in both Katie and Nate, and just to give you a little bit of insight. So Katie is the Director of Sales for Aftermarket Programs and Services, and Nate Myers is the Group Manager for Automation Programs. So Katie, good to see you again, and Nate, thanks for joining us. Good to see you.
Excited to be here.
All right. So I tell you what, we're going to jump in. Katie, maybe we'll just go with you first. So, we talk about the automation lifecycle, program or automation management. Could you maybe give an overview for those that aren't as familiar, or maybe have heard the program, but maybe just to get insight? Because I know there might be many things when people hear automation and they hear NOV, they might think of a particular area. Maybe you could give us a rundown.
Yeah, sure. So before we dive into what our automation lifecycle management program is, it will be good to do just a brief recap on what automation is for rig technologies. Mm-hmm. So we've created a suite of products to help our customers to automate the drilling process. The two products that you'll hear most often with automation and specific to our program are NOVOS, which automates the drilling process, and then MMC, which automates the pipe handling tool processes. So automation is similar to autopilot on an airplane. The tool is there to help with the process, but it doesn't replace the pilot. So a driller is just as important to NOVOS or MMC as a pilot is to autopilot. The tools help with efficiency, consistency, and makes that process autonomous to where the driller can focus on what's happening on the drill floor, the crew around them, and most importantly, keeping everyone safe. So now that we've kind of set up the automation background, what we want to talk to you about is automation lifecycle management. So this is a subscription-based program that we've designed by working with our customers, both contractors and operators, to support, enhance, and optimize their automation technologies. So our goal is to help our customers maximize value on that automation journey.
Okay. And so, one of the things that, I hear in different spaces, people say, we want to help you along this journey. And so maybe so that specific word, right, kind of jumps out at me. So why do you call it a journey versus, I don't know, some other maybe descriptor?
Yeah. So when we think of this journey, it is very customer specific. This isn't a one size fits all. Here's the program and we're selling you XYZ. We're in this together. We're going to help fulfill different needs for different customers. Really, we're moving away from some of our traditional based models where we release a product and then the customer gives us a PO and we'll add it into the backlog. With this model, we're constantly innovating and collaborating with our customers on what features they want to see next and making those available to them much quicker and much more seamlessly than our traditional releases. But there is a lot more to it than just the software piece. The way we do this is through delivery of 5 key program components that we use to ensure our customers' success.
Okay. And so, I think that's maybe I think cue Nate, right? So to certainly get some additional detail there. I know that to Katie's point that obviously there are many aspects, and when we kind of dive into it, from what I've read a little bit on it, it seems like that you've kind of sort of subdivided it into maybe about 5 different kind of buckets. Is that right?
Yeah, components, I guess you could say.
Okay,
it.
Components.
Just
Yeah,
to
sure.
break it down.
No buckets. We'll sure.
So I would say definitely, there's components for this AOM, and for every journey, and we call it a journey because this is continuously evolving. Mm-hmm. And we see it in our lives, in our home, in our office, all around us. Technology is an important part of what we do and critical to what we do. But every journey needs a starting point. And so really the first component we have is baselining. So, with technology and with products like Novos and MMC, it brings change, and change is new to customers. It's new to rigs. It's new to crews, and how they embrace change is different. So the whole baselining aspect is to go and assess current state. Really, the success of technology is more than just a product. It involves mechanical aspects, software aspects, but also, I think, very importantly, human aspects, training and comfortability and confidence in using these technologies. So what we're trying to achieve in this baselining component is understanding, how are we performing right now? How is the rig using these technologies? How are they performing on a day-to-day basis? Because we have to know where we start before we can start creating a roadmap and an improvement path forward.
Okay. And so, when you start thinking about, one of that components is certainly the software side.
Mm-hmm.
And, you're talking about evolving. And I certainly know that that's one area that that you and the team continue to look at as well, right? Is that area, and continue to make sure that is up to date and most on point.
Certainly, I think that kind of segues to kind of component number 2. And so I'd call that, software lifecycle management, or really the goods of what we provide within this program. And really what that means is, Novos and MMC, these technologies are continuously evolving and advancing and improving. And we're adding features, we're implementing improvements, but most importantly, a lot of those improvements are coming direct from feedback received from the customer and the crews and the rigs that are using these technologies. That's how we drive forward. But software lifecycle management and software updates, what's important is that as rigs that have these technologies are using it, that you evolve with us as the technology itself evolves. So as we add features, we add improvements, we add basically ways for you to use this software more effectively and efficiently, we want the customer and the rig to evolve with us.
So one of the aspects of the automation lifecycle management approach has to do with really providing, at the end of the day, the support that's needed in order for these tools and technologies to really meet their full potential. How does that play in the overall journey?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, Michael. So support is critical to everything we do, and being able to help add value and really help these crews and rigs and customers when they need it as fast as possible is critical. I will say, in today's world, when we're dealing with challenges of COVID, and most recently last week in Houston, preparing for a potential hurricane, the ability to support rigs remotely and have to avoid sending a field service technician out to a rig to solve a problem is extremely important. When we're dealing with 14-day quarantines and travel restrictions, our ability to solve problems with a phone call and being able to remote into a rig and troubleshoot with software or help the driller themselves is pivotal to what we do. And it's a huge value add in terms of what we're providing to this program. And majority of it's through our techno equipment support service tests. And more specifically within that, we have teams of experts, we call them center of excellences, that help focus and really provide this support or backup that we need.
So, if you're just joining us, we are talking with Nate Myers and Katie Saski, and we're talking about the automation lifecycle management program that NOV within the rig technology segment is continuing to provide for those that are interested in really adopting this type of program for their operations. So if you have any questions on automation for Katie or for Nate, feel free to put that in the comments section, whether you're joining us on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook, and we will try to get to your questions in just a little bit later in our program. So Nate, I wanted to maybe circle it back and talk about an area that I'm kind of passionate about, and I know many others are as well, and that really kind of revolves around the idea not so much the data, though data is important, but really, how do you really visualize that? How do we see and work with customers to really help them make sense of all of the information that's coming to them?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So, with these technologies comes a lot of data and a lot of information. There's a lot of third-party companies and customers themselves that use that data and they visualize it themselves. In-house within NOV, we have an effort to visualize this and use it as a tool internally, but also to allow the customer to see this data themselves as well. So, to answer your question, this is an extremely important tool for us to help support a customer. And I think the biggest takeaway on this is it helps us be proactive versus reactive in terms of watching performance of these technologies. And that's something that we also want to help pass along to customers. Not every rig or every customer has a massive infrastructure behind them internally to help support them with these. So being able to develop and provide this, in-house through NOV, but then also use it as a tool ourselves to help better support the customer is extremely important and impactful.
So, I mean, when you're looking at all of these important yet maybe seemingly discrete components, no buckets, components, how do you tie those together and make sure that everything is cohesive and really sort of running together?
Yeah, so there's a lot of components to these technologies, and when we mentioned Novos and MMC and some of the other elements that Katie mentioned earlier, there's a lot to pull together. And the way we do that is through our program management, and I really consider that the glue to this all. Really, we provide a single point of contact for the customer and for the rig to be able to reach out, because they need really somebody that can help navigate this path and lead the path and coordinate with them throughout this journey. I will note that, for us, it's a partnership. And one of our big initiatives here is we create a task force between ourselves, the program management team, the customer, which is the operator as well, with the contractor. So the biggest thing for us is to create transparency. With mechanical, software, and human, oftentimes how each of those elements is performing isn't always transparent between all three groups with NOV, the operator, and the contractor. So the intent of this task force is to help create transparency, bring everybody together, and as we move forward on this path, it's one that everybody's taking the next step in unison. But mostly it's to create that central point of contact to help go along this path with you.
So, Katie, I want to maybe touch base with you on, some of the things that Nate said. It sounds like overall, I mean, this is an initiative that really is designed to not only meet the needs of our customers, but is really taking a comprehensive look at how to best provide value, especially in the area of the automation lifecycle management, like we've been talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so some of the benefits to doing this, we are giving our customers a predictable cost exposure via a subscription model. So they know year 1, year 2, year 3, what all they're getting and how much their cost exposure is. Along with that, it's a proactive game plan to help achieve those KPIs, which are customer specific. Like Nate had mentioned before, we're working with you towards that common goal. And then the big one, getting access to latest features and functionality of automation software. And then the glue that holds it all together, that single point of contact. That's a huge benefit to our customers, knowing exactly who to go to help drive those objectives forward, and then coordinate all of the services to continue striving for that maximum value achievement.
Okay. So, I mean, I think that's really helpful to really understand how this is not only, like you said, providing visibility into how this can impact operations, but certainly the bottom line and shared success with respect to the goals of our customers. So that's really good to hear. So I do want to go ahead and bring in Shelby Dumaine to maybe bring in some of the questions that our viewers have on automation lifecycle management in our conversation. So Shelby, what do you have for us?
Absolutely. So we have a couple. The first question comes from Hassan on LinkedIn, and he was wondering, when you work on new projects, do you use more of an agile approach or a more of the waterfall methodology?
I'll take that one. So thank you, Azan. So I think for that, I mean, it's a combination of multiple approaches. I would say it's definitely more agile because you're definitely continuously changing and evolving your approach as you go. Like I mentioned earlier, every customer, every rig, every crew is different. So there's not a cookie cutter approach. So as we go, it takes reassessing where we're at and moving to the next phase in our approach and making sure that was as efficient as possible, or as efficient as possible. So hopefully that answers the question there.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And then we got another question from LinkedIn, kind of asking, with different disconnects, sort of like with COVID-19, and you talked about this a little bit earlier, but can you talk a little bit more about how this tool, how automation and automation lifecycle management can help with other disconnects like Hurricane Laura or other situations? Can you just talk a little bit more to that?
Yes. So, with Hurricane Laura, I mean, obviously there's going to be rigs in the Gulf of Mexico that are going to have to, move out of the path of the storm. And obviously probably won't be actively drilling during that time. But, for Houston, that is a central hub of support. I mentioned our technical equipment support services. Being able to provide that support 24/7 is critical. It doesn't matter if a storm's coming through. I mean, rigs in other regions, they're working all the time. So it's extremely important that, through this program, an ALM, the program manager is always connected. They're always paying attention to these issues and opportunities for improvement and opportunities for support with rigs. And no matter what's going on, we have a very big amount of resources behind the scenes and teams that are all ready to support no matter what challenges we face.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then this next one comes here. Let me get it on the screen so you can see it, from Stru Samantha on YouTube. And they're wondering, will this program come with remote training?
So will this program come with remote training? So that's an excellent question. So, earlier I mentioned that there's really three major categories to success, and that's, the mechanical aspect of really these technologies. And so let's use, for example, Novos and MMC, hydrorackers, hydrotrongs, top drives, everything, drawworks, everything plays a critical factor to being tuned and working appropriately. The software, that has to be working as intended, and we want to optimize configurations with Novos. But then you get to the human side, and that relies on the training of personnel and comfortability with the product itself and how to use it and when to use it appropriately. So yes, training is available remotely, and we look and actively seek opportunities to provide as much support as we can remotely, especially given the challenges with travel and COVID, and trying to be cognizant of that. But yes, that also ties into TrackerVision and another tool and product we discussed earlier. There's opportunities to utilize that as well for additional training.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And then just kind of wrapping up, are there any other frequently asked questions that you get often that maybe you could answer here today? We can get a little insight on those that you can think of.
Katie, I've been answering all these, so I'm not sure if you want to tackle that one first.
Yeah, I think one of the ones that I hear most often is how you talk about SLM, about software, and it's what's the cadence of releases. If I sign up for this program, are you giving me one release a year? And I'd say the answer is really it depends. And we're looking on that feedback from you, the customer. We anticipate quite a few releases, maybe not every quarter, but that's what we're striving for. We want to take that feedback from you and make sure that we get it implemented as quickly as possible. So that's probably the biggest one that I get. And just knowing that we do continuously evolve this software, and you are going to get quite a few good releases within that.
That's good. That's really helpful to know, because I think we can all think of maybe a consumer space where it's a kind of a software base, and it's kind of like, will I ever get an update, right? But that's really helpful to know that it really is customer driven, and that's helpful. That's good. So it looks like we had some really good conversations in the comment section. As always, we're never able to get to all of the questions that come in. So if you had a question that you wanted to have either Nate or Katie answer, and we've wrapped up the show, maybe you're watching the replay, you can head over to, or actually you can send an email to alm@nov.com, and the team here will be more than happy to reach out to you, whether you're looking for additional information or if you have a question that was maybe raised during this broadcast. So certainly an area that will continue to evolve, and glad to have additional peek behind the curtain with our guests today, Katie Saski and Nate Myers. So Katie and Nate, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and transition back over to Shelby Dumaine to get the answer for our Rig Geeks post of the week. So we have been talking to our guests, Shelby, and so one of them was our trivia question.
Absolutely. So we asked earlier what episode Katie Saski has appeared on before on NOV Live. And I think this is really exciting because she was actually on, and this is the answer to that Rig Geek question. She was on episode 2, which was talking about TrackerVision. And this was actually the first episode where we were talking about specific technology. And so she's definitely, she's now in the club of people who've been on here twice. And we love having Katie on and all of our guests on. So thank you for everyone for commenting below and joining us for Rig Geeks and participating in that this week.
Great. All right. Well, yeah, absolutely. Thanks for playing along in our trivia, and certainly thanks for joining us on today's broadcast. We are here at 11 Central, and always look forward to having you join us. If you have questions or comments about today's episode, or if you have suggestions for future topics, feel free to drop us an email. We're always reading that inbox. That's going to be social media at NOV.com. Or you can send a voice memo or a phone call, and you can call the number on your screen, +1 346 223 4799, and be happy to get your thoughts there. So from all of us here at NOV, thanks for watching and for listening, and we'll talk to you later.